Like when we're learning our first languages, we have all these mirror neurons that help us to sponge up linguistic and social data and social cues, because our parents aren't teaching us anything directly. Maybe they're like, okay, say thank you, right? But in general, they're not teaching us grammar. They're not teaching us vocabulary. They may be teaching us certain behaviors, but we're still sponging all that in from just listening to them speak. What Krashen would have called the silent period. And that's because we have this neurology that allows us to just compile and model languages and then turn them into languages that we're able to behave or reproduce. But around 5 or 6, those neurons start to prune because we no longer need them because we already have our native language. So, and then that process happens a lot developmentally, like certain parts of your brain start to prune because you're not needing them anymore because all that knowledge is already, or the instinct or the ability to do whatever is there. But in some cases, if you continue to use it at the same level that you did when you, in my case, learning my native language, I kept learning different variations of my native language and other native languages of mine. So from Arabic to Berber to English to French, Swahili, nonstop. So my brain didn't have a time when it was like, okay, we're done learning our native language. It's like, it was like, okay, we keep going. And that pruning phase, I passed the pruning phase and still have all those neurons, or at least a large amount of them.
Let's see.
So it ends up that I can't teach anybody because I don't have a process. It's my neurobiology that allows me to do it.
I see. So you just kind of naturally pick up languages by being in those environments or immersing yourselves in those environments.
Exactly. So like the weirdest story, I don't know if it was 2012, but I think it was 2012, Chinese New Year. I'm part of this like performing troupe of Brazilian performers or Afro-Brazilian performers that go to Hong Kong to be in the Chinese New Year parade. And they had like these different performing troupes from different countries doing all these different things. It was amazing. It was like United Nations of different dance and movement acts. Like had French firemen who like walk with these ladders and they're able to climb and do all these crazy acrobatics on the ladders. It was insane.
Yeah.
So it's me, Alfred, Quetzal, Xingu. I don't think Muito was able to make it. I think Sochi was there. So there are a few batuqueros and some other sundry capoeiristas. There are samba dancers, there are Afro-Brazilian dancers, like in this whole troupe. And it was sponsored by Cathay Pacific Airlines. Back in that time, they were one of the only airlines in the region that had like these really big, elaborate entertainment systems, the gigantic screen and like all this content. And there's an educational section. So I get on the plane, I'm like, educational, it's there. And it's like, learn languages. And so open that. And there's only 2 languages, Korean, I'm like, I'm not going to Korea, and Cantonese, I'm going to Hong Kong. So let me do the Cantonese. So 10 hours over and over, I just go through this learn Cantonese thing, and I have a little notepad in my pocket. So I'm just like taking notes and repeating the lesson over and over and over again.
Wow.
And like talking to myself and trying to get pronunciations. And by the time I landed, so this is maybe 12, 13, 14 hours, not even that, something like that. Anyway, hours later, land in Hong Kong, start getting off the plane, and I'm able to like ask where the bathroom is and how far down is the immigration. Wow. And is there any food here? Are the restaurants closed? Like I'm able to have these simple conversations in Cantonese after like
10 hours.
10 hours.
Wow, that's like superhuman.
That's my record right there.
Holy shit! Can you say? Let's put you to the test.
Yes.
So let's go through them. Maybe like, I don't know what you should say. How about introduce yourself in? Let's go through the whole list.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be that. But let's just start with like. You know what? Actually, I don't even know your full name. and we've known each other for, I don't know, 10, 15 years or something. I don't even know your name.
Capoeira does that.
Just it's like whatever I know is good enough, basically. But let's introduce yourself with your full name in Arabic.
اوكي اسمي سيف ناصر بن عمر اسماعيل انا من ديترويت وكمان من تونس في بلد تونس انا تونسي وامريكي وكل حاجه.
Okay, I'm just gonna read through some different questions that I had, and then let's hear it in English. Obvious is fine. French, and then you could say it in French, and then maybe do like a translation.
Okay.
So, what's some advice you have for like balancing, like work life or just all the different things going on?
C'est difficile parce que ça dépend. Si tu as beaucoup de problèmes dans le travail, il faut que tu laisses beaucoup de temps dans sa vie dans la maison. So if you've got a lot of problems or a lot of issues at work, I think it may be better to then start to try to create more time and space in your home life in order to create that balance, because sometimes at work we don't necessarily have the power to influence things as much there. So if we can create that.
Yeah. I understood that a little bit. I speak French a little bit. I used to be pretty fluent. A lot of Cambodians in France.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I forgot most of it. What's this other one? French, Japanese. What does happiness mean to you?
幸せってな、そうだよね。なんか個人的にこう幸せという言葉ってなんかこうやっぱ毎回前よりやっぱうまくこう上達するということが幸せと思うんですよ。だからこうなんていうこういや今幸せですっていうんじゃなくて、こういうやっぱプロセスがあって、で毎回もっと上手くなっていってるから、やっぱこういう、流れに乗ってるっていうことが幸せと思う。So it's one of my best things.
And what's the translation?
No, it's like happiness. That's a hard one because to me it's not like I can say that there's this state that is happiness, but I do feel like if every time everything that happens I'm improving or I'm finding like an increase in capacity or doing better each time, then going through that process of continual betterment or continual understanding, being in that process is happiness to me, rather than it being a state or a destination.
Okay. How about in Thai, what does success mean to you?
แล้วก็ไม่รู้มันเป็นคนดีที่อะไร I'm not even sure how to say world, but world มันไม่ดีเป็นyeah, like being able to be a good person in a world that's bad, I think is success.
I see.
Because yeah, I think that's.
Let's hear you introduce yourself again, or maybe introduce like, what is your mom like? What kind of person is she in Korea?
우리 엄마는 아주 너무 좋은 사람이었는데 진짜로 설명 못 하는데 음식 시간 okay, it's breaking down now. But like, it's difficult to explain. But she was just a very giving person, who like, be it like money, time, food, always prioritized giving, to us.
What's one of your most fondest capoeira memories, experiences in Portuguese?
Não foi uma coisa gostosa, mas uma coisa que que me faz muito melhor no mundo de capoeira e também na minha vida, porque eu fui no evento do Mestre Preguiça em São Francisco. A minha mãe estava lá também. A galera do Raiz do Brasil, Mestre Halil Suleiman, estava lá também, alunos dele. Eu joguei com o Mestre Halil, nem sabendo que ele era. Eu joguei com ele e dei um pequenino martelo nas costas deles. Ele me quase matou, mas com gentileza, sem machucar, sem nada. Mas o aluno dele estava com muita raiva. Depois a gente tinha uma roda aberta e a gente jogaram. Ele parou de capoeira e começou uma briga, batendo, chutando. Eu falei, pô, eu vou parar a capoeira, usa meu Kung Fu. Foi uma briga. Então, não foi uma coisa alegre, mas uma coisa muito importante para saber que capoeira é uma luta e também que eu possa me controlar nessas coisas. Não é uma coisa que a coisa que outras pessoas fazem que me controlem. Que eu posso me controlar. So that is to say that it wasn't like a happy moment necessarily, but I think a really important moment that left an impression was that I went with my mom to Mestre Preguiça's event like over 20 years ago. And the folks from Capoeira Raiz do Brasil were there, Mestre Halil Suleiman was there, and I played him in like the beginning games. And I didn't know who he was. And we're playing, and I just did this little soft martello, but I caught him in the ribs. And then he completely destroyed me. But it was so beautiful and controlled, and like he didn't hurt me. He didn't like there was no lack of care whatsoever, but he completely destroyed me within the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like. But one of his students took acceptance to it. And so later on, he called me to play, and we're playing, and all of a sudden we hole into the roda, and he just stands up and starts kicking me and punching me, and like it just becomes a full out brawl, and he stops doing capoeira, and he just like, it becomes a street fight for him. And so I was still fairly new to capoeira, and I was like, well, fuck, this is Kung Fu time. And so we just like are going at it, and it took like 8 people to pull us apart.
Wow.
And then,
you think of it so fondly.
Yo,
So
this was like one of the most important like moments in my capoeira life.
yeah.
Because I started to understand capoeira as a martial art, but also started to understand that like in that moment, I had that choice to either be controlled by the circumstances or to control myself, and I was able to control myself. I defended myself, but I didn't go beyond what was necessary. Whereas if the other person like was carrying water that didn't need to be carried and like just completely flipped his shit. And so that I just understood how important and how valuable that self-control and learning that through the process of capoeira, and that this guy had been in capoeira for way longer than I had and just had not learned it. And so how devastating it can be when you don't learn that level of self-control through the art.